soon as this. And thanks, Mum.
Okay. Well, Janet, welcome back to Australia.
Thank you.
And first of all, congratulations on Rhythm Nation 1814. A great album, and you must be extremely happy.
Yeah, I really am.
I mean, the last time I actually interviewed you was sort of at the beginning of the Control album, of sort of really just starting to take off. And you were very quiet, and you seemed sort of confident, but wasn't sure about where it would go.
I felt good about Control, and I thought it would be successful, but I didn't think it would have the success that it did have.
Right.
So in that sense, no, I wasn't too sure about where it was going to go. I know that I felt good about it, but I didn't know that it would do as well as it did.
Now, I mean, coming from such a talented family, and reading the biographies and the history of the family, the first noted performance that they've got in your biog is that at 7 years old you appeared with your brothers.
Yeah.
At 7 years old, I mean, what were you thinking to be surrounded by, obviously, a lot of music and a lot of action?
God, my first time being on stage, I could just remember being nervous.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was extremely shy, and I can't imagine in my wildest dream that my dad would ask me to perform with the rest of my family, because it was like taking a gamble in a sense on me. To me, when I think about it now, by being so shy, I could have easily just gotten stage fright at that moment that I walked out, but I didn't. I was nervous, and I remember my brother Randy constantly trying to relax me, calm me down, massaging my shoulders, telling me it would be okay, and by the second show you wouldn't be nervous anymore, and I wasn't. So that comes to mind when I think about back then.
Being at that age, and the rest of the world knowing the brothers as they did, and being so famous as they were you able to, when did you really comprehend in your own age of that this was a pretty famous family?
I think I was about 5 or 6, and I think it started with the Saturday morning cartoons, because I remember my brothers always being on the road, and I was at home with my mother and my sisters, and I remember getting up every Saturday morning with my pajamas on and waiting for their Saturday morning cartoon to come on and getting really excited, and that's when I think it really started.
Now, your own urge then to sort of start singing songs and sort of performing, whether it be in front of the mirror without anyone else knowing, or, I mean...
What age?
Yeah, what urge, when did the urge hit that perhaps I should be a bit of a performer as well?
I was 6. I was 6 or 7, and I remember, this is so silly, my niece and I, and she's only 4 years younger than me, we used to go in the bathroom and perform in front of the mirror, and we used to pull back the shower curtain as if it were the stage curtain, and come out and actually sing. God. And we'd each take our solos, and that I do remember that started around 6 years old.
Well, then by the time you got to about 10, it was becoming a little bit more serious, because you were making then appearances on the television series. Did you then have some ambition that, yes, I am going to be a performer? I mean, it's hard to work out with such a family like yours of where perhaps, you know, the earmark happens to say, well, in yourself, I'm going to be a performer.
Well, when I left the family and I started acting, that was, I guess, a strange point in my life, because I was so used to having my family around me and doing everything with it, but now it's like being on my own, even though the cast and the crew, they became a second family for me. But it was frightening in the beginning, because not working with my family, and I really couldn't think of not doing that, but I did, and it was scary. And doing the show, that's when I really felt that I wanted to be an actress, and that's what I really had pretty much set on in my heart, to continue acting and really not to continue singing.
I think that most people would have perceived it, critics alike, that with Good Times and then with Different Strokes, and you developing as an actress, that in fact that's exactly the way you would go. The decision then to attempt an album, when did that come about?
My father asked me. He asked me when I was he asked me when I was doing Different Strokes if I wanted to sing again, and you know, I said yeah. But I really didn't mean it that much. I knew that I really wanted to continue my acting, and I thought it would be just, you know, a little fun thing on the side. And I really didn't get into it as much as I guess I wish I would have at that time, until I decided to do the Control.
Although the funny thing is, I mean, I was reading one critique that came out even on the Janet Jackson album, being your first, that in fact his very words were in this review, Janet comes out jamming. Now, how would you describe yourself with the Control album? If you were coming out jamming with the Janet Jackson album 2 albums before, what were you coming out with Control?
God, that was just something totally different.
Yeah.
I had changed from God, I made the Janet Jackson album when I was 15,
yeah.
and I made the Control when I was 18 or 19, and I had experienced a lot in my life at that point. I moved out, I got married at one time, and then got an annulment, and we were only together for a year, and I experienced a lot of things, seen a lot of things that normally you hear about, but I got a chance to actually see with my own eyes. I felt like that was the time when I got a chance to look at the world for myself and go out into the world and experience a lot of different things. So that's when I decided, I sat myself down and said, what do you want to do? Do you want to act? Do you want to sing? What? And that's when I decided, okay, this is what I want, and I'm going to go for it.
Right.
And that's when I did Control.
Well, I mean, it was a pretty bold move, because considering that even with the Janet Jackson album, it lasted in the R&B charts for a long, long time, and sold, you know, a considerable amount for a debut album. And then the second album also, even with the help, I mean, you had the help of your brothers with that one, was again a credible album. To do an album like Control, where you're talking about yourself or singing about yourself, is a pretty bold move in anyone's category, especially for someone that's so young.
Yeah, it was bold, and a lot of people, they weren't sure about it, but it was something I felt that I needed to do. The things that I had experienced, I felt like I was alone at that time, even though I know that I wasn't alone, and I felt the need to get this album out so that other girls could hear it, other people, and because I know they experienced a lot of the same things, if not the same things that I had, and just to let them know you're not alone, you're not the only one who has gone through this. And I felt it was really important to do that, and that's why I really felt the need to do this, something I felt deeply in my heart.
Even with those experiences of your own experiences, again, this decision on Control, seeing how, especially your brother Michael, had become so big, and the world was analysing him like as if they were putting him under a microscope. Did it frighten you, perhaps, that they may do this to you, that suddenly there'd be even more pressure coming onto you?
There was a time, I think in the beginning, with all that going on with him, but that's something that you have to take the bad with the good.
Sure.
You know, and the good is enjoying what I do and doing what I do. And then, you know, there are always going to be cynics and people that try to find something.
Yeah. So,
you know, that you have to take the good with the bad. That's all a part of show business, a part of fame.